And we are live. Good evening, LinkedIn. Dave Wilson of the Ringer Hire Show. Hey, guess who's back? How you doing, Jessica?
Hey Dave, how are you doing? Hello,
Well,
LinkedIn.
summer's over. Summer's over.
Can you believe how fast it's gone?
I know, and I said all the shows to start back up because fall and winter are really good for shows. People during the summer, I don't know if they watch shows as much on LinkedIn because the viewership, unless it's that bad that people don't want to watch it. It's like, hey, but it's summertime, so everybody will be
Everybody's on
right back
vacation.
after this video. But we have a great show tonight, and it's a great topic. I love it, interviewing and a lot of just great interview questions, and we'll see how you're going to answer them. But we'll be right back after this, and I got to hit the right video. There we go. Oh no. All right. I'm going to see how good you are at something. I want you to look down at the bottom of the screen and I want you to tell me what's different. Not the Ring of Fire show, all that little stuff, the banner. There's something in the corner that's different. What is it?
The date?
There you go. Look at that. Wow. They made a big update. They made a big update today on this. I turn it on. It says you can now put the date on. I'm like, all right, look at that. So now I can look at that and say September 4th, September 4th.
Right.
So
Awesome.
how's everything going with you in business? Everything going good?
Everything's going great. I'm lucky and blessed that I have a great community behind me and it's about, having, meeting people,
Right.
having that credibility and trust factor, being transparent, and just asking the right questions, right? Like
Right.
I recently read the mom test. Have you read that book?
No. No,
I
what's
forget
that?
the author because I'm just old, but it's the mom test, and it's basically like, the whole premise behind it is like, don't ask silly questions that you would ask your mom, and your mom would like
Right.
tease you, right? Like, oh, do you think this is a great idea, mom? Of course she's gonna say yes because she's gonna back you up, right?
Right.
And she believes in you and whatever. She's not gonna say no, that's not a good idea. She doesn't want to discourage you, right? So the book talks about like really funneling it down and getting to the root of the questions, and
Okay.
don't ask those questions that leave it open to just, again, being, appeased and
Okay. All right.
giving you the answer you want to hear.
And
So
that you want to hear. All right. Did you get different classes?
I didn't, but
All
they gave
right.
me this
Maybe it's
love
because I haven't
too.
seen you all summer. All right. All right. I think I'll have to watch the other ones to see. All right. So tonight, when I told you about, I like the subject of interviewing naturally, but a lot of the questions too. And I wanted to go over some things first about the interview process itself and what you can do to really look sharp. And you know, I I always tell people you can get called out on not knowing doing your research on the company. And you got to admit that because if you don't know who you are applying to, sometimes in that interview process you're going to get called out on that.
100%. My husband even goes far as to like, if they're a public company, a
Right.
publicly traded company, he'll find out what they're, trading at, how much the revenue they made. Like he goes deep in the weeds in there. I
It
mean, I
is.
do the same, but yeah.
I couldn't even imagine being in an interview and being asked about a question of something as simple as, what have you done? What do we do? Or what's the process is all, what you've learned about the culture. And you can't come up with one thing.
Shame
That is a right there, right
on
there.
you if that's the
It
case.
is,
Because
and
in
and
this
that's
market,
important.
you have to set yourself apart. You have to.
Yeah, because I've seen people too, and the next part with that is with the resume, not knowing your own resume. Again, you're going to get that one person, and I'm sure in your career, so have I, that really dives into your resume. You can put all that fancy stuff on there, but you better be able to back it up and talk about it.
100%.
You know,
Doing when you before an interview, just even if you have to do chat
yeah,
GBT and say, hey, what possible questions would they ask me, and then just prepare yourself to receive those, or a variation, or to answer
right.
based on a variation of those questions, just to like set yourself up for success, because you need that. You need
Well,
to practice.
even with ChatGPT, they were saying that you can take with ChatGPT now. You can take your resume and you can upload it and compare it to the job description. I don't know if I my God, you're going to do that, and then it's going to make you a new resume. And I'm like, how many resumes do you need? And you better, again, if you're going to do that, and it might look good, but again, you better understand
You better
what it's saying, because
go
a
through
lot of
it.
people, well, yeah, because they don't read the job description. Again, if you don't read the resume, and I've had people throughout my years, even myself, I've been called out on it, because if you got something on your resume, you could put any kind of software, but if they're going to ask you about it, they might have that there. As simple as ADP or say, something like that, and you said, "Oh yeah, I understand that," and then all of a sudden, bam, you don't even know nothing about it.
Right. Right.
And it goes back and forth again. That comes down to the preparation. I mean, I think that's the hardest part about interviewing too, is just getting yourself ready, because I don't care who you are, you still go in an interview. I think you're nervous. I'd be nervous just as much as anybody else.
I wrote a post about this not too long ago, that like nowadays in this market, especially, having a job, going on those,
Right,
applying for jobs, and going on those job interviews, it's like having a job within itself. One,
right,
and two, it causes like PTSD, because you're
yeah,
like on edge. You want to make sure you put your best footing
right.
forward. You want to make sure that and then the ghosting that has become so rampant in this age is like just
That
insane.
word,
Like,
gaslighting,
oh my
ghosting.
god,
Oh my
it's
God,
just
that
terrible. It's terrible.
even the ghosting. I mean, that is a subject in its own. And but if you're not prepared, you got to go in prepared. It's
Yes.
just like, and I was reading on interviewing on, we all got used to being on, from podcasts to Zoom calls and all the interviews. You figure with COVID, and it still goes on for years, you can have a virtual interview, and if you still got to be prepared. A lot of the people, their backgrounds that they'll put you in your kitchen, and I'm like, oh my God, you're in your kitchen. What are
Oh
you
my god,
doing?
Dave, you just reminded me. I don't know if I ever told you, but I took an interview once.
Right.
The person was relatively younger, and they were in their pajamas. And I was like, "Are you kidding me right now?"
In
Wow.
the pajamas,
Okay.
and you're in there. So that's what
In
I'm
their
saying. If you
pajamas.
don't, it's the same way as your background. You got to make sure your stuff works. Make sure your computer works, because that's the worst thing that's going to happen is if you don't have the great Wi-Fi. And I've seen people do that, and I'm thinking to myself, me personally, I guess because of military, I just you got to be prepared. Somewhere you're going to make a mistake. It's going to happen, and I think that's normal. But again, if you're not, I'm going to
You
say
try to
this after
avoid the
4 or 5 interviews.
possibilities of that, right?
Yep, after 4 or 5 interviews, I think that's when you start to master it. Like,
Mhm.
because all the questions that we're gonna go over today, and these are some of these questions that people are asking, they are asking these things, and I'm like, "What the hell would I say?" Like, what would you do if you don't know the answer to the question, Jessica? Even in your field, what do you say to an interviewer? If you don't know and you can't get that, you got that blocked in your head.
If that's the case, I would definitely pause and take some time to like calm my
Right,
brain, because as a neurodivergent being, I'm
right,
like thinking 100 things, right? So I gotta like pause and ground myself. That's one. And then two, if I don't know the answer, there's no way around it. Just be
yeah,
transparent and upfront, because that integrity, that brings you forward,
yeah,
that puts you in a positive light. So hey, don't be afraid to say, I'm not sure of that question. Can I have some time to think about it? Or and answer it at the end, or
right.
I don't know, but I'm willing to learn. Bring it on. I love a challenge. Like spin it. You have to spin it.
You have to, because you gotta get that person to kinda like you in a way. And I think, like you said, just by telling the truth. Now you start, you don't know a lot of the questions, and I don't think you need to be in the interview. That's when I'd be saying, "Oh boy, this is over my head." I think this is when I say this is when the interview stops. You know, but just as it is on remote, there's no difference in your body language. There's no difference of way you're sitting up. There's no difference of way of your background being bad, your Wi-Fi being bad, not prepared for the questions because some of them you need to even prepare. There's what even ChatGPT, you can get all the great interview questions because I think that's where everybody else gets them now anyway. You know, they go on there. Now I told you I like this book. I discussed on the call. This book here, 96 great interview questions. Man, I got this thing all tapped out. But it really makes you think about it because a lot of the like we're going to go over some of these behavioral questions too, where you have to give an example. Man, if you're not prepared for that, you're done.
Oh yeah, and the star method is the best
Let's
thing
start. Yep.
to familiarize with it, practice it, practice it, practice
That's
it, practice
action.
it.
Was it action and
It's
then result,
situation, task,
task,
action, and then result.
and results? Yeah, on that part. And that's something that you need to just sit that in your mind and keep going over it because the last couple interviews for the companies I was before, I did a lot of studying for them. I did a lot. I just kept asking and being in recruiting, you think you know it all, but I don't care. I don't think you do because you're still that same person that you're in front of somebody else. You're trying to get that job, and if you're at a job, I think that sometimes gives you a little bit more. Like if you're working already and you haven't left the company and you're just interviewing, I think you can be a little bit laid back. Think so. You can think you'd be laid back versus if you're really laid off. If you're laid off and you really want that job, you know, there's a difference, I think, in how someone's going to act. You know,
That's very true. I think you hit a very valid and interesting point. I think like if you have already a job and you're just surfing and seeing what's
right,
out there, you're going to be more picky, right? You're going to
right,
be like, well, is this job have the things that I want, right?
right.
Coming from like an I. But if you're looking for a job, you're like, well, let me, it has to align, obviously, because you don't want to leave, but you're more laid back on what you're willing to
I
accept and
see
not.
right through it. I can see right through it. And I'm just like in my mind as I'm talking, I'm like, all right, this is done. I mean, I can tell already because if that person is just, you can tell. Well, they have an attitude. If you got that attitude, well, I don't have to really get this job or know the questions. Yes, you do. Or I'll don't take the interview. Some people just take it to take it, and I'm like, that doesn't make no sense. Why
Mm.
would you take an interview and you're wasting people's time, that other people need a job. But there again, I mean, but first impressions account, the way you dress. I've seen people, I'm like, and there's different ways. Oh, I got a perfect question for you. What is the number one color for women that they should wear in an interview?
That's a great question.
That's from this. That is from this young lady here that I like so much. She's got her book out, Anna, and it's one of her first questions is what a woman should wear. What color is the number one? And black is not it. And I thought because I love black, and when I go to an interview, that's the way I dress. But I'm not sure if she meant that towards men or women. But it's not black. I'm going to give you that hint.
Okay, so that was my first go-to because, like, as a woman, as a female,
I love
I
black.
want to look slim. No, well, I wear black to look slimmer, right?
Right.
That's like my first, and I look more polished, right? And then my
Right.
red hair and the black, it's just like awesome.
That's
But
it.
anyway, um, is it beige
I'm
or
going to
is
give it
it
to you. It's
white?
called. It's a military term in the Navy. Navy.
Oh, so navy blue,
Yeah. Does that make sense? You like Navy?
navy blue.
I'm gonna read more. I just started reading the book, and I
Interesting.
I saw that tonight. I said
Interesting.
I'm gonna ask her. Maybe she'll know that. But she's saying wear navy.
Wait,
Do not wear
why?
black. I don't know. I have to figure out. She said in this book, you're either a charmer, challenger, examiner, and a harmonizer. And I just started it when I saw that. I said, well, I'm gonna call her out and see if
So
she
she's
knows.
putting personality into those questions. That's funny.
Yeah, and it's
Her
it's a good
personality traits, yeah.
interviewology. It's called interviewology.
Yeah.
And I
I like
told you I would have had her on my show. I even sent her the picture on LinkedIn, asked her, and she said I have to pay her. So I was like, well,
that.
that ain't going anywhere. I wasted. No, I didn't waste $19. It's a good book. It is good. So I'll
No,
still
well,
continue.
not today. You're not ready
Right.
for her today. That
Right. Not
doesn't
today.
mean
Right.
later, right?
I'll
So
get her again somewhere else along.
there
But
you
yeah, she was
go.
saying navy, the color, where you're putting your hands for, and it was all based towards women. I'm like, wait a minute, what about the man? What's the difference? I would think you put your hands on your desk. You don't put them on your sides. It says put your hands on there like that. You could do that. You could be talking eye to eye contact, and you don't want to slouch over. And it does say to lean in a little bit. And I'm like,
Hmm.
how would I lean in a little bit? She says, when you're talking. I'm like, I'm not gonna go like that. Like
I
just
don't know about that because I kind of like my personal space, but
yeah, I'd be like,
if you want to like seem really confident, and I guess it depends on the role too. But yeah, like I'd be like, why are you
yeah.
all up in me?
Why even? Yeah, like every time I say, "Is this good enough?" Is I'm
Are
leaning into it
you?
like that. But yeah, it says the sit, the posture, maintaining openness, eye contact, and facial expressions, and that makes sense, you know. And I like the best thing about is your how long balancing speaking time and how much talk is too much. Because I've walked out of interviews before saying I think I mumbled too much on. You know what I mean? In
Yeah.
your mind, you're talking and you're like, "Shut up, Dave. Shut up, Dave. Shut up."
Oh my God, I just read about that
Yeah.
too. Like sometimes you got to learn how to be quiet. Like
It's
just answer the question and just
yep.
that's it. Shh.
1 to 2
Don't
minutes.
overshare. Don't overshare.
Yep, 1 to 2 minutes, it says that's the standard, 1 to 2
Because
minutes.
sometimes when you get nervous, you don't you will like feel the need to fill
Yeah.
in those pauses or those that silence. And no,
Yep.
don't do that.
No, and it comes down and breathing exercises, she was some breathing, learn how to breathe because everybody's nervous, and I think that first couple minutes, everybody's nervous, but then it just mellows out, you both start getting into it, and in my experience, I think you both I think the interviewer gets comfortable too, with the person. I think it's okay to do that in my eyes. It's okay to do that because then you can start. I think you'll relate more to each other. Especially like you're in HR and I've been staff. I mean, but staffing and HR, and you could probably say a lot of different things that maybe they don't want to hear. I don't know. When they do that, but a lot of them,
It's
like you said,
very important, I think, and I'm sorry to cut
no,
you
go ahead.
off, but I think to your point, I think it's important to get those details
Right,
like a jump start to them because then if you already booked the interview and now you're talking about it and they don't fit those qualifications, like you said, like
yeah,
people don't read the JD. Like I don't know
yep,
why, maybe it's because it's very time consuming by the time
right,
you fill out the application or
yep,
upload your resume, and then you have to fill in the boxes if they didn't come through parsed correctly. Like
right.
it's like I said, it's a job within a job. But if you get those questions out of the way, hopefully it reduces
It
the
reduces it. That's probably about the best thing on that part. But again, the last thing on that part, and then we're going to go into these questions here, is about using the STAR method. And it's not hard to think about if you just say star, star, but you got to remember situation, task, action, result. So the situation is, I guess they're going to, when they give you a situation, what kind of task do you need to do it? What did you do to correct it? And what was the result? So
Mhm.
I'll probably get it confused and go backwards.
I can give you a great example right now.
What's that?
So,
Go ahead.
situation, right?
Yep.
I had a client who couldn't find their surviving spouse's information
Right.
for benefits. Okay, that's the situation. The task,
Okay.
I had to think outside the box because this person was older, so they weren't using emails by then. They were using fax.
Okay.
I was able to go through the facts and get that information and give it to her. So not only did I do the action there, but that was
Okay.
the result. She was a happy camper. Like she loved me after that. So
And then she loved you.
very
Okay.
simple. Very
All right.
simple.
Okay. I just looked. I was wondering why I didn't get any comments yet. We're live on the Ring of Hire show on LinkedIn, but we're not hired on my own page.
Oh, I was wondering why we weren't getting any comments.
Yeah, but it's okay. I mean, I'll transfer it over after this and have to see with the company. That's the second time that did that to me. It's on both pages. It's on Facebook and everything, YouTube and all that. It's running on there. But I was wondering, I was like, all right, I'm not getting any questions here. So that's all right. We'll deal with that. All right. So questions. I'm going to start out with
And
some funny
question.
ones first. I love
Okay.
these couple funny ones, and I looked at it, and um, let me see. This is the one I like. Behavioral based. I like that one here. Oh, this is my favorite one, and I thought about it. And how would you answer it? If you were a fruit, what kind would you be and why?
I think we've asked this question before, and we
Oh,
got
was that with
like
Kenny?
yes, the last time, and we had an apple in there, and we had
Yes.
a banana. I don't know,
Yep.
like
Pineapple and a grape. You're
right.
right.
So we have asked that question before, but I have one question for you.
All right. What is it?
Okay. A penguin walks through the door wearing a sombrero. What does he say and why is he here?
Say that again.
A penguin walks through the door wearing a sombrero, a hat,
Okay.
one of those Mexican sombrero
Yeah.
hats.
Yeah.
What does he say and why is he here? And that's
Mm.
from Clark Construction Group. They asked that question in
So
their
if a
interview.
penguin walks into a room with a hat, he's coming to a party anticipating, and I'm thinking he's anticipating coming to a party. He's going to be the life of the party, the entertainment. He's going to be to the go-to person. The guy that stands out, maybe. God, I would think that's what I'm just trying to think. Like the man of the party. He's going to be able to answer questions. He's a entertainment. Am I
That's
there?
amazing. No, that's great. It's so there's no right or wrong answer. They're just trying to figure out how imaginative you are, how creative you are in your storytelling.
Okay, because that would be like a DJ, and you walk in, you're the life of the party. Hey, he's here, and everybody's happy. You could play sad music and make everybody just go down. Or
Mm,
I don't know if I'd wear a hat like that, but I might, walk into a room and do that. But no, that's not bad. All right.
mhm.
I don't remember that one. I remember Kenny's was, I think, something with passion fruit, because he said it's something about it's in a blender and it's all different type of things. So it's like a team. You just all bunch and everybody loves them. Everybody
Mm,
loves it.
I like
So I guess on that part. So and then it says an apple. The reason apples are versatile, reliable, widely appreciated. I never knew that about an apple.
yes. So Adriana, I believe, is the one that said apple, if I remember
Apple.
correctly.
All right. Bananas are known for their energy boosting properties, easy to work with. By choosing banana, you can highlight your energy, approachability, ability to support others. You might say, I would be a banana because I bring energy and positive to the team. All right, I can remember that
Holler,
one.
because I would be a banana for sure.
You would be the banana. All
Oh
right.
yeah, Cuban to a T. Like I eat with bananas
Okay.
all
All
the
right.
time, so I am a banana. And
A
plus, like
banana.
in astrology, in Chinese astrology, I'm a monkey. So
Okay. All right. A monkey.
a monkey.
I'm not even going to. What did you ask ChatGPT that?
No, no, I've always known that I'm a monkey.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
I'm
in
always
Chinese
monkey.
astrology.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well, there's a pineapple too. So the pineapple one was, I don't think I'm that. That is a reason. It's pineapples are a tough exterior, but are sweet and rewarding on the inside. So a pineapple can demonstrate resilience, depth, rewarding nature. You might say I would be a pineapple because I have a resilient nature. Once you get to know me, you'll find out I'm supportive and rewarding. Rewarding.
Hmm.
That's not too bad, pineapple, because it is prickly and it's like, oh, that person's pretty strict. Okay, I'll go with that. And the last one was grapes. This one, all right, now I get it. Grapes glow in clusters and are often associated with collaboration and teamwork. That makes sense.
Okay.
Choosing grapes, your collaborative spirit, teamwork skills. So I'll remember the pineapple. That's the banana energy because I eat that all the time for energy. Grapes, your cluster, that's easy. Apple, that's the only one I don't know why an apple's like that. Dependability and adaptability.
Apple. You can put apple in apple pie, or you can put apple in a salad.
Oh, so
With
it's
the
versatile.
yes, yes, yes. I know because I
Jeez.
do both. So there you
You
go.
got all right. So we'll go with that. That's not bad. All right. So
I got another question for
all
you.
right. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So Bacardi likes to ask, if you were a cocktail, what would it be and why?
Oh, I have to be like a mixed drink. I don't drink it. It's been like 28 years, but if I did, I mean, I liked vodka and orange juice. I like Jack and Cokes, so I mix well. I don't know. I mix well. It's smooth. I'm a smooth person. Geez, I don't like it too strong. Oh, not too strong. Maybe a little too weak. I don't know. Am I hitting any of it?
It's just to gauge your personality type.
Is that
So
what it is? Or what
that's
would you
all it
say?
is.
Well,
Oh, pina colada all the way.
all right, yeah, on the beach and all
If
that. That
you
makes
like
sense.
pina
Oh,
coladas.
those are you'll be singing that. Okay, pina colada. All right, all right. Here's one for you. I think you'll like this. If you were to be a superpower and you only had it for one day, what would it be? If you
Oof.
could have any superpower, but for only one day, what would it be?
I think it would be the superpower would be to calm down people's
To
emotions.
co- Now you're getting depressing on me here. What do you mean?
No, what I mean is like, kind of like to help them emotionally regulate. And what I mean by that is
Okay,
like, you
all
know,
right,
it's like, everybody's coming with, me and my trauma informed care and emotional
okay,
intelligence principles. Like everybody comes from different walks of life. And when you're talking, sometimes people can get offended. We have the narcissists, the micromanagers, that stems from somewhere, right? So before they pounds. Be like, yo, relax. Shh. Like,
all right.
relax.
But let me read you the proper way I should have said it. When you
Okay.
don't know the answer to the question, I just noticed that when you don't know the answer to the question in an interview, what would you, if they asked you and you were stumped, what would superpower for only one day? And it says, well, that's a tough one. I think I choose the power to instantly learn and master any skill. That way, even if I don't know the answer to a tricky interview question, I'll be able to figure it out in no time.
Oof, I like that one. That's great. That's
Uh,
definitely leaves it's open, right?
uh,
And it kind of like celebrates their love of learning and growth.
it is because like some of the stuff, and I've been asked the fruit. I think it was long, long time ago. Something to fruit. It was even a what kind of animal at a zoo. There was something with a zoo, and there was an elephant you could be, and I'm like, why would I want to be an elephant? I'm thinking I ain't got nothing to do with an elephant. All right, now these kind of questions are these are the ones that I think you really kind of have to study for. And I noticed you can look online on the job description, and they kind of put it in there that it was behavioral based. So
That
behavioral
the
based.
interview questions were
It was
behavioral
on the
based.
job description. Yep, it
Oh,
said
that's
it had
great. At least
behavioral
you know
based, and
what
I
you're
was
walking
thinking,
into.
I was looking at it, I'm like, why would it have behavioral? And I'm thinking, wow, those questions, if you're not prepared for them, because it's like, for example, they could ask you, describe a time when you faced a significant challenge at work and how did you handle it? As simple as that sounds, if you don't if you don't Google these kind of questions to learn them, you're going to be stuck. You're going to be stuck because you got to come up with a significant challenge at work and how did you handle it? You don't want to again. You want to stop. Think about it. But this is why preparation on these questions I think is tough.
No, and it is, and they're when they ask those questions,
Right.
they're trying to inquire, how you process, how
Right.
you're, if you're creative or not, like adaptability, flexibility. They're really trying to gauge how you act under pressure. Like if you're the right person for the role. Like we always
Right.
say in HR, like it's the right fit for the role. It's not
Right.
like it can't be, just because I like the person. I
You
mean, you
like
can
the
like
person.
everybody, right? But it has to fit,
Right. And
because if
that's
not, you'll be like recruiting again for the same position in a couple of months. Like,
yeah,
makes
that's probably true. All right. This thing still tells me I'm live on LinkedIn, but I didn't see it. I'm gonna look one more time. And I'm going to go to questions. Doesn't matter because we're on Spotify now. So it goes to Spotify. Right after this, I put it right on Spotify. We are on Facebook. We're on YouTube. And I just want to look one more time here. All right, there we are, the Ring of Hire. And then it says I'm live, and I'm going to be calling that company tomorrow again. No, it doesn't show it there. So, well, sometimes you got to figure it out later on. But the behavioral throws me off. Even tell me about a time when you had to work with a difficult team member and how did you manage the situation? It's
that's good because it gauges your conflict resolution
would you
skill.
know that? Have you been asked these type of questions like that
Yes, of course, of
in your
course.
field? Yeah, you'd have to be
Yeah.
because that there. This one here is tricky. I swear to God, this one here. I read it over and over. Can you provide an example of a mistake you made and how you handled it?
That I've had that question before
I've
too.
never had that one, and I'm thinking, how do you? wow, what kind of mistake do you want to say?
Well, it
Or they're
really
not looking for
doesn't
that.
matter the mistake. That what they're really looking for is how you resolved it. Like, what
Okay.
was the end result? Like, if you want to own it and say, yeah, I dropped the ball, but you know what? That never happened to me again. That's great. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or if you're technical, right? Like, oh, like there was a bug in the code, or there was a misletter in the coding, but you
Right.
know what, I went line by line until I
Okay.
found that character, so stuff like that.
Well, I'm going to definitely know one now because you again, these are the things that could throw you if you're going to a place with behavioral questions and you're not prepared for it. Forget it because they're talking about technical. Especially different fields, and what your field is more intense than what mine would be. I can try to think of easy things with coming up with mistakes about on a hiring process. If I again stop, think about it. What do you want to say? The other one here is about the time where you've worked with a difficult team member. We said, how do you manage that? And then, oh, this one here, as simple as that is, give an example of a goal you reached and how you achieved it. There again, you need to make sure you're prepared for that question because that's a positive question. But do you know how many goals off the top of your head?
Well, I have a follow-up question. Like, if they ask me
Okay.
that question, I'll be like, are you talking about my 1 year goal plan, my 3 year, my 5 year? Like, which
Okay.
one are you talking about?
That's not a bad comeback.
So,
I think that puts it back on the interviewer. You know,
and it kind of like sparks that, oh, she does think about this. They do think about, their future, and they have an idea of where they're headed,
or where they're heading with what questions there.
right.
Because that I wasn't sure. Oh, this one here. Describe a situation where you had to persuade someone to see things your way. I don't know if
Mm.
I've never heard of that question before. In behavioral, I mean, what would you say? What do you describe a situation where you had to persuade somebody to see things your way? So if you're in management, maybe there's something that you've done in the past on a machine like mechanical or something like that. That would be easy in maintenance to how you fixed it. Maybe you showed him a different way versus the way he would be thinking or she. I don't know. I think that comes back to constructive criticism in a way. Or what do you like that one?
I do like that one.
Yeah.
And you always got to think of the star method. For example, kind of like I think because it's behavioral and because it's like looking for like that conflict resolution piece,
Right.
more like for me, in my opinion, it's more like, okay, well, for example, this person was from finance and all they know is data. And so
Right.
I had to really, maneuver myself, be curious, and, speak their language so that they can understand my point of view so that we can come to a resolution.
Okay. That is a lot. Phew. That's just a lot. Then
A lot.
here,
How, like
I
in
just
what
think
way? I'm
I
just
would be
trying
I
to
would be
figure it
I
out.
would have been I would have been blown away by that. I don't think I wouldn't know how I've never heard of that one. So for me, that would have been a hard one to answer. I would have had to come back like you said and give me an example. Is there something wrong with saying, "Could you give me an example?" No, I don't think you'd wanna say
Mm.
that. You'd
No, can you please clarify instead of
clarify.
example? Can you please clarify the question?
Yeah, and I think maybe them reading it back or saying a different way, that might come through there.
Spark
So,
something, yeah.
the and then these next few that I saw here, the basic ones, like, right, like, really, these are like, "Tell me about yourself." There in this book of hers, she's saying you don't really wanna tell what you do outside of work, or if they ask you what your husband does, or what do you do for fun after work. There's some things that,
Well, for
you want
compliance reasons, they shouldn't be asking you what you do at home or your husband. Like,
That's what I
those
mean,
are
and
big
if she was saying all
no-nos.
these questions, they shouldn't be are you married, or,
Right.
what do you play sport? You don't have to answer those because you really she was saying, "Don't answer those questions," but I'm thinking
Or you can say, how is that relevant to the role that I'm applying for? Not to make
right,
you
because
mad at
it's
or anything, but you just want to know out of curiosity, like, how does
yeah,
that
like, what is your they said about what is your former salary, right? And she said, "In 22 states, it's illegal to ask that question."
that's happened to me.
Has it? Okay, because I
That
don't know what
has happened to
Pennsylvania
me.
is. I'd have to check Pennsylvania, I'm not sure. I'm not
No,
sure.
it's one of those states where you don't ask.
That's right, yeah, because you don't that's what I figured. I mean, I don't really get into that because, your comeback with that would be when I was reading her book there, she's saying that's where you come back and say, what is this position paying?" And you kinda just brush it off. You don't because I've never asked somebody. I would assume they know how much the salary is. I really do. I would assume that.
Well, yeah, you get a range, right? Because especially in Pennsylvania,
Yes.
here, you're not mandated to put like the hourly or the salary on their
Right.
DD, but in New York, you are. So like even if you ask, there's two ways that I like to ask that. Well, what salary range are you working with? And then also I'll say, well, whatever's commensurate to the role is
But
what
it do what you would know that if it's in the job description, right? I mean, if you're going in there, if somebody's going in there that ask what that is, they shouldn't have an idea because if they read it, because some of them do have. Now, I've noticed a lot on Indeed. Sometimes they don't put it, and I don't understand that. I I've looked, and when I see that, I'm like, why isn't the salary there or the range or
right.
because why would you apply for it? Why would you unless it's like
Well, that's the issue, right? And in
right.
Pennsylvania, there is no law that you have to do that.
Yeah,
I
because
find
you
that
don't
here.
know, you only assume what you should be paid for in that position, and that's another discussion there too, but that's a question that, you know, some people might just answer that because they just think it's the easy way out and say, "Well, I make 90,000 a year when you're and that job is only offering 75. Why am I here?" And that would be the question I think if you did answer it and it was way above, that's when the interview is gonna just say, "Well, this is where we're at." But I always feel it's better to be honest up front before while you're doing a phone screen or I don't think there's nothing wrong with that because why waste your time?
Oh my God, I agree. I agree 100%. Like, let's not waste each other's time. Just
No.
be transparent, be honest, and
Yep.
then I will make the educated decision whether I want to apply or whether I don't, whether I want to take the
They
job
don't.
or if I don't. You know what I mean? But I think it's important to ask those conversations. And what I mean by that is because I've seen it time and time again where, someone has, for example, retired and they're
Right.
looking for a part-time role, but they have to like, and I say this like lightly, like dumb down their resume to go
Right.
get this office job, right? But then they see that resume and they're like, well, you're too qualified. Like, I'm just going to take you out of the bunch. But you don't have that conversation. You don't understand, like, she's retired and she just
Right.
wants a part-time job because she wants to spend time with her grandchildren. Like, who knows? Like, I don't know.
Who
But
knows?
having
Yeah, you
those
don't even know it.
conversations, that phone screening is imperative. All it takes is 5 minutes. Five
That's
minutes.
what I feel. Yeah. I feel that's your best time. You're not wasting the recruiter's time and you're not wasting the interviewer's questions. So again, I think she's right then and there. I kind of agree with that. I wouldn't come back. I mean, why would you do that? Because some people that can go both ways too, because some people will take a less pay and it's really not for you to you really need to understand that. Like just say if somebody's they're okay, if they would come back and say, well, I'm okay with that salary, that tells me right there, okay, well, the person either wants to leave, maybe, or they're okay, and there could be something behind that. That's okay to leave. Just because you're taking a $10,000 salary difference, it doesn't mean that you're not qualified for the job. You would just probably the interviewer would be like, "Why are you taking 10,000 less?" Maybe it's a shift. Maybe
Maybe
it's
it's their values, right? Like
yeah,
you
their
have a great
children.
corporate values and the timing is right, their schedule is
Right.
right. Like you don't, again, it goes back to what I'm saying. Like you don't know those answers and we shouldn't assume. We should ask those questions.
Yeah, and it makes total sense. So the next one I want to ask, I think that I love drilling you with these because this is like, how would you answer? I get to say it. But this is a common one. What is your greatest strengths and weaknesses? Now, the strengths I love. You can always say positive things, right? You can always, that's not a problem. But what do you think they want to hear in the weaknesses? If you were to say,
They want you to hear something authentic because time and time again, it's like, oh, well, I'm a perfectionist, but you know what? Like, you can spin it into a positive. Like, that's a weakness that you can spin into a
right,
positive. Like, I hear those all the time. I would rather like more modern, more like let me pick your brain kind of questions to decipher how you problem solve, how you react, how are you on the spot
That
under
makes sense.
pressure, you know what I mean? Like those questions are like really outdated for
It
me.
is because they've been in there for a long time, and some people, they just ask the same basic question, especially the one, like I said, the weaknesses I either talk too much or no. I do a lot of multitasking. So
Mhm.
sometimes I have to be able to just say, slow down, and get it right, like that. So I don't know whether somebody likes to hear stuff like that. I guess it just comes down to that interviewer of what they feel, because I think sometimes, listen, if they're not good recruiters and they're just asking these questions because they spit them out, the company gave it to them, but they didn't teach them what to listen for. Like you just said, I like how you said that, because think about it. As a recruiter, you should be this is something you want to hear. Like, you can always tell a good interviewer because listen, the way they talk, it just comes right off. Like,
Mhm.
they know it. It's not just how do you want to say it?
We
Staged.
call it in Spanish we call it labia,
Is that what it is?
a lot of
Yeah.
the
Yeah, you
tone.
can tell. You can
It's
tell. And
spit
it'd
it
be
out,
like, yep, and I'll tell the person, "Wow, you know what? I like the words that you just said, because it just came right off. It wasn't even, I can tell you know what you're talking about. It's right there." So I kind of like that one. The next one that you had said earlier about is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Come on. Why why ask that question? Because you're always going to say, "Well, if I'm in management, I want to be to that next level. If I want to, climb the ladder there." But that is such an old question. And what do you like about it? Where are you going to see yourself in 5 years? What's going to convince you? What are you going to say to me that's going to convince me?
Um, so I mean, here I guess they're trying to gauge if you're going to leave or not, right? So they're trying to figure it out. Like, are you in for the long haul? Are you a lifer? Or are you, just you know, just a couple of years and that's it? Nowadays, as well as I do, no person stays more than 3 years. I think
Right.
3 years is the threshold. So they're trying to gauge that, but you're right. It is a little bit antiquated. I think I'd rather, like give me your top three goals or that you want to complete, either academically or professionally, or like what
Okay.
certifications do you want to go for? Are there any certifications you want to go for? Is there any associations you're a part of
I
that
want
you
to learn
want?
more prompts for AI.
That's a good. Oh, you can ask AI to help you with that.
I
So,
know, I know, I know. That's cheating.
you know,
But what I
but
look
I
at
have
that
a
when
question for
somebody,
you though.
okay, go
All
ahead. All
right.
right.
Okay.
Oh,
So there's one that I liked is what on your CV is the closest to a lie?
whoa. What is on my which is a resume? Was it that
Resume.
is closest to a lie? Um, wow, you're putting down all your qualifications, what you've done. You're
Like people are known to embellish.
Yeah, you're putting on there, you go above it, like, say, again, like I said, maybe a software that it's something that you've never done. Um, God, you got why you left another job. You don't put that reason on there. You went from one job to another. You're a job hopper. Jesus, I'm trying to talk out loud. I'd be terrible in an interview with that question. Say it one more time.
So what on your resume, I'm going to save resume, is the closest to a lie?
Wow,
I
man,
was
you got
that
me.
one stood out to me. I'm gonna use that myself.
Yeah, what does it say? Does it say how you should answer that?
No, it tries to gauge your honesty and your presence. So
All right, so I
again,
was
I try
talking
to
out
go for the
loud.
traits.
So I wonder if it's okay to talk it out loud when they ask that question.
I mean, you could. It only give you more credibility to
Because
really
Yeah, because if I'm saying,
problem
"Okay,
solve.
I look at my address," that's right. I look at my job
I
title
would think
or
you're
job
from.
title. Sometimes the job title, nope, see
Yeah,
it there, now we're getting there. So
there
that
you
job
go.
title, you might look at HR, look how many, there's like 20 of them. And if you could say one that you've done a generalist and then your next level up, and if you've never done that, you're gonna get called out on it. So maybe your job title, I think that could be good, and then your qualifications of that job, you might have lied that you've never done it and you just googled it or something of how to do it. How long you were at a company, I could see somebody, if you're laid off and you don't want to you could put an extra year or two to cover up some jobs. I've seen people do that. So I think I'm getting there, right?
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too.
Yeah.
I like it because again, you're like seeking to see how honest they are.
Okay.
Because at one point or another, again, we all embellish, right, to get
Right.
that tiered job. Um, and not only that, but like for me, that says a lot about you as far as your confidence. You're like, yeah, like this is
Okay.
me unapologetically. Like, yeah, like
Okay.
I wasn't in HR, whatever. I was this,
Okay.
but doesn't negate that I have those, skills. It's just that I just changed the
You
title.
just
I don't
changed
know.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Did I pass that one or not? Would I have passed it
For
or?
me, you were funny. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
couple
I guess
points.
that's where you said that if you don't know it and if you could just you're normal, and if you have to read through something in your mind, I'd be like, all right, you're just thinking, they're
Mhm.
thinking, that's not too bad. This is my favorite one that I wonder it's kind of I don't know. Why did you leave your last job? I know as
Mm.
simple as that is. Listen, we all have stories. I don't know your background, right? You could have got into it with one of your bosses. You could have just finally left. You have 10 years there. Why are you leaving 10 years? Some people say because they're older now. You look at somebody who's older, well, they got laid off or they're lying. I don't know. You know, I think because a lot of the companies don't call anymore. They don't call your former employer. Some of them do. I shouldn't say that. That's probably it depends on the field. I think you need to call to get that. Yeah, I'm talking out loud again. See,
Well, in a lot of states, we're only allowed to, when we're doing reference checks, we're only allowed
right,
to see like title and like
right,
dates.
right,
If someone
right,
overshares, then you have something, but you really
right.
can't, as HR, ask.
Yeah,
But
that's true
people
because
are known to share.
they can only say the time that you've worked there. I think it is. So you can say that they were from 1985 to 1990, something
Right.
like that, and the
Mhm.
months you could get whatever. You could get down detail with that. But no, I that question there. I mean, a lot of people, they're leaving. People leave for different reasons. I mean, there's just so many between now, the way everything is with the cultures and with work life balance, the shifts,
Yeah.
all these crazy shifts people got to work. They got to work the weekends. Their husband works different shifts, wives work. You know what I mean? The school kids with school functions. It just comes down to. I think you could be honest on that question if it's not
While keeping it light. While
right
keeping
and
it
keep it. Yeah,
light.
because
Because,
I just don't
you
want to
don't want it to backfire on you.
too deep on that one.
Right.
So all right. Then some of the other questions that I was looking at the tech end, and I didn't realize with a lot of the tech that they really give you, they'll give you work to do that you have to
Mm,
do to perform as part of the
mm.
interview. That I'm not sure if they ask you if you have to bring that with you. I've never done something like that. Have you? Like
Yes.
different type of jobs that you had to do something that was
A
mandatory that you brought.
presentation or something. And sometimes you get like little instruction. They're trying to again figure out how's your rationale to what they're asking you and also like what you're going to produce.
Right.
So,
Do you
yeah,
agree?
I
I
had
mean,
that.
so yeah, that would be I guess that comes down to, like I said, the field. Yeah, so you would bring that there, and I think I could see that because that really has you put out. What you're like Excel when everybody
Especially when
asks.
you get those higher roles where you're supposed to be strategic and kind of like there's a underlining goal or objective
Right,
that that's the reason they hired you and you're a subject matter expert, that they're going to want to know like, well, what can you do? What are
what
you
can
going
you
to do
do?
for us?
All
And
right.
so that's where it comes in to play.
So I just some of these again. If I was going to an interview, I just strongly suggest to everybody you gotta do research on interview questions because it can really really take you to another level, and really sound it just polish yourself up, on those questions because I think I have a personality where I think I could overcome some of it. If you're just a likable person, you're saying, there's things they say to be likable in this book. This lady's like, call them by their first name a lot. Say something from like, well, when we previously talked to Michael on our last call, people like to hear their name. And that's what she was saying in there.
Mhm.
Get
Yeah,
people to
that's
like
true.
you by saying their name.
Right.
And like these little things, I wonder if that would help you for likability on her, because she's like, says, say their name, approach for something, refer back to, ask questions about previous calls, and then don't respond to their email ASAP. Give it time. Don't be
Yes,
like when they
you don't want
don't
to
interview.
seem like you're desperate, you
Yeah,
know?
but do you think it gets into some people get to that detail, don't they? They'll take it that way, don't they?
I mean, it's everybody's different, and that's like the beauty of being human, and the flaw, right? Also, like it's both. But
No.
yeah, like you don't know who you're dealing with. I like to like maybe 24 hours, and then it gives you also like a chance to really think about how you want to respond, right?
Right.
Because instant gratification, you want to like, oh, answer, but what if you misunderstood the question, or you just never know. So really taking your time to pause, I that's the biggest thing
Yeah.
I think. If anyone takes anything from this, pausing is your best friend.
Your best
In
friend,
an
just a pause.
interview, I tell my clients, like, get a glass of water or a bottle of water and pause and drink that water and then answer. You
Then
know what I
answer.
mean? Yeah.
And then what I like about, I always go back to her book as I was learning, but some of the questions that we've talked about, and then you might want to bring in something positive. Like this one here, I want to see how you answer this. This is going to be funny. How many tennis balls can you fit into a school bus?
Right. They're looking for estimation and your best, uh, you know, perception of the fixing the issue.
Yeah.
Um, you know what? I have no depth perception at all. So
Right.
like I'm telling you, like I'm the worst. Like even with when I'm parking the car, I'm just terrible. Like I just don't. So I can't estimate how much a ball. I would imagine though, like
God, I'd say thousands, like
yeah, like in
10,000
in the
maybe. I don't
thousands.
know. And I
I
didn't have
would.
the answer. This one part that I googled that, and it didn't give me the answer to it. It just says how many. And I'm thinking these are evaluate, like you said, an analytical and critical thinking skills.
Hmm.
So I don't think any wrong answer, like there again, but they're just trying to see if you can put it together. Like I would be like, well, would you happen to know how many they fit in a quarter of the bus?
That's a good one. That's a great one.
You could bring that question back to them. Do you happen to know if it's in the hundreds of thousands? Is it in the tens of thousands? Then you could lower it down a little bit and try to
You're
break
right,
it into
because
four.
it's really comes down to how you process information, how you like kind of like when you're doing a math problem, showing
Right.
your work, right? But I have a question for you now that you
All
brought
right.
that up.
No.
Uh,
Good.
how do you fit a giraffe in a fridge?
Oh, come on. I'd be saying that in an interview. I'd be like, "Oh, come on. A giraffe in a fridge."
Yeah.
I'd open the door.
Good. That's it. You just can't be so like sometimes we get in our heads
Right.
and it's the basic simple. Just open the door.
Just open the door.
Just
Yeah, I
open the
mean,
door.
that's what I all right, so wow, I passed that one.
Yeah.
Wow, that was damn. Now you watch. I'd never been asked a question. I'd be like standing right up there. Just open the door. That's all you got to
Mhm.
do.
Yeah.
Because we've gone over these answers, but that yeah, because you're gonna sit there and somebody's gonna think, well, a giraffe isn't gonna fit in the refrigerator because
No,
it's
it's
tall.
not.
It's got 10-foot head, 20-foot head, and the refrigerator
But
is
I
only
never said how big the refrigerator was, right?
okay.
So it could
All
be
right.
a big refrigerator for a giraffe. It's
Okay.
just as simple as that. Like, just open the
All right.
door.
Okay.
Um, but yeah,
That's
that happened to be my favorite so far. That was from what is it? It's from UPS asks that question.
they asked that. That
Hmm.
I wondered. Do you think they would not hire you if you didn't answer questions right like that? I guess because if they're asking, they want a certain answer in a way. So maybe with all of these questions like that together, that's where it would be like, wow, do I want to bring this person on? Or I guess like you, that interviewer's got to know what he's looking for, he or she. If
Yes.
you don't know, if you're just asking that question to be like, because I don't even know, you know what I mean? Like, y- what you're the reasoning, it's the reasoning behind the question, and you just said it, overthinking. Yeah, you could really start going crazy. Like, well, you
You
can't
can
fit
get
a
in the
draft.
weeds and then you won't be able to see the resolution because you're just too
Okay.
in it. You know what I mean? So then how are you going to solve my engineering, my coding problem or my people problem? You don't even expand your mind to
All
just
right. See now you're reading. Now I'm getting it. Okay. And that's what it is. When you talk it out like that, you wouldn't be able to decide a problem. I'll give that one to you. All right. I'm going to do one more, and you're going to do one more because we're almost at the hour mark.
wow,
You
this
believe
is so
that? That went
fun.
quick. It was so quiet, like I said on LinkedIn. But I'll put this on LinkedIn on my page after this, and then I will also this will go to Spotify tonight, and it's on YouTube and Facebook still. So it's all right. My last question would be, and this one here again, because I'm always trying to think into why. I like that, the why behind it. But how do you balance work and your personal life? Is that kind of deep?
Yes, especially like for these times, right? Like I understand, especially in those higher positions because they
Right.
want to be able to know that you can handle the stress. Um, so that is a great question to ask.
You think it because I was wondering, I'm always thinking not the negative part of it or anything, because I think if I had to answer that, I would just have to say I work with you work with your husband, your wife, with your kids, with schooling, with your hours worked. Is there a little bit of flexibility in time if I had to leave an hour early for his sports? Is that what you're looking like, to balance work? Like, I got to make sure if I couldn't get it done the first thing in the morning, then I'll make sure I get it done in the afternoon. If it's not due to the next day, I guess I'd say, but to blend it with your personal life, I think that's like, say, I've had some throughout the years, like a coach will come in. And when I'm looking at the shifts, and it's a second shift, and sometimes they work weekends, right? And he says he coaches kids in the school for football or basketball. Now, in my mind already, I just went there. I'm like, well, how are you going to do that? In my mind, because I'm
Mhm.
like, if you're working the weekend, but I don't know that practice for that child might be in the morning. I don't know that. You know what I
That's true.
mean? So
That's
I'm
true.
trying to think if that's what I'm looking for when I ask that question, going behind it. I mean, what do you think on that one?
Well, I love your perspective and I love these conversations
Yeah.
because you definitely get different perspectives. See, my uh, thought process behind that was, well, there is no such thing as workplace balance. There's
Right.
workplace harmony. And what I mean by that is that in everything, there is a kind of curve, right?
Right.
Curve where like sometimes you're going to need to work and be at work late and you're going to have to get things done, maybe work on the weekends, and then there's going to be downtime where like you like have free time, so you want to spend time with your kids, you want to do this, and then
Right.
also like not and having those boundaries, like I'm not going to miss my kid's birthday, I'm not going to miss
Right.
this, right?
Right.
Staying true to what you value, but also knowing that it's just a roller coaster and just you're writing it out.
Yeah, and that's true too, because I've even thought when you were saying that, like I DJ. So, my weddings are on usually Friday nights, Saturday nights, at nighttime. I have to say, well, if I had to get something done at work, I would still do that, but then I would take the extra time to balance it out. And if I had to work on a Sunday, I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? I guess to balance it out, if you needed something to get done, I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out. If that question's, what is the right answer for that when somebody's coming across? And I don't, I think I like what you said too, is, there's no wrong answer. I don't think, I don't
No, and then
know.
to your point too, like you use all the resources in your wheelhouse, right? Whether
Right.
it's family, whether it's kids, whether it's AI tools, whether it's like,
Right.
or calendars, like whatever. You do what you have to do because you got to pay the bills, you got to do good at your job, you have
Right.
to be there for your family. So really it's like, are you resourceful? Yes, I'm very resourceful.
Resourceful. Yeah. I think that. All right. You got one more?
Yeah, I
All
have
right,
one more.
then we'll call
So
it a night. So
I
what is?
love this
Yeah,
one.
bring it on, bring it on. Then I'm
Would
gonna
you
give.
rather?
What's the
I,
weather? Here we
would
go.
you would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
All right, let's say this again. Go ahead. I'm focusing. Can
Okay.
you imagine me saying that in an interview? I'd be like, "All right, hold on one second. Hold on one second. You know, like, go ahead and just say it again."
Okay. Would you rather fight one horse-sized duck? So a duck that's the size of a horse. Would you fight
Okay.
one of those, or would you fight 100 duck size? So horses that are the size of a duck,
Oh, Doc.
duck size. So a
And
hundred
um,
horses, small, and one huge duck. Which one would you fight?
personally, I think I'd rather fight all the little ones because I think I could take a lot of them out. I could take a lot of them out by one big one. If he's twice, 3 times the size of me, he's gonna knock me the hell out, and I'll be out. But, yeah, I can go after all those little people. I can go after all them, so I'm trying to think if that's even an answer. Like, how and these questions are probably asked too.
Yeah. So Whole Foods Market
Whole
asked
Foods, so
that.
I'd
Yeah.
have to listen, I to me, I'd wanna fight the little ones and then knock them out and not worry about that big one because I just think that that big one is gonna knock you out. So I'm trying to think, oh, please tell me that what kind of answer they're looking for on that one.
So it's really about decision making strategy and like how you handle absurd dilemmas, because obviously when you're dealing with a corporation, there are going to be these weird issues that you really feel like they're fires. But you know, if you really, again, that perception piece of like, can we like think like outside the box, or
Okay.
just be simple enough to like just, you know, cut through all that like angst and just answer it, right?
Wow.
I personally would rather fight the big horse, the one, because have you ever seen, you know, the giant that gets pushed down and then
Yeah,
all the little people band together? Because
right.
there's power in numbers. And if I
Numbers.
just have to find one, then I'm good because I can hide, I can go through his legs, I can, you know, there's just the possibilities for me are endless there.
Alright, so I guess you I like the different perspective. I like that. I see what you're
Yeah.
saying because I don't really feel that there I have to be as a recruiter, I have to be say, "Okay, again, if that recruiter doesn't know what you're looking for, how would you even write that down?" Well, this guy said, "Now hold on, young lady. Let me see. Say that again. You know, that can I write it down? You know, can I write it down or anything like that?" I just think you have to have fun with it though. You have to like
That's also part of it, right? Because
yeah,
a lot of companies, Google, Apple, Meta, all these companies, they ask a lot of those questions.
of those questions. And to me, I'm the person that wants to know like what are you looking for? I guess that's the recruiter side of me. Not something that I'd want to answer, but something I'd rather just ask. I'd rather ask it and then try to see if I'm going to get the answer that I'm supposed to get versus me getting saying it and being wrong. You know, I'd be like, oh my God, because I don't know how. Again, I got to talk it out. And I'd be maybe that's what they want to hear too, because you're talking it out. You're trying to plan what you want to do, you
That's
know,
the
instead of
whole
just
part
getting
of it.
frustrated and saying, I don't like that question. I don't know what to hand. Can you imagine just saying, I don't know?
Oh, never, never say that. Don't ever, ever. If you learn
I
anything,
don't
do
know. I don't
never
know the
say
answer.
that.
I
But
don't know.
I like I imagine that like especially for those big companies, like I can't fathom that they come up with these questions and
Right.
they don't have like a you know SOP or recruiting like you know
Of something
worksheet
on
or
it.
whatever. It doesn't say, hey, like this is what we're looking for, and you know this is like an example of a you know as good as it can be an
Right.
answer, you know, just to like have a range to play with for the interviewer, I am
For the interview.
imagining, you know.
Okay. All right. All right. That was good. Well, it's been an hour and 4 minutes, so I think
Oh
we'll
my god,
call it a
I
night.
love
And
this
I love this show. Yeah, because we didn't. Again, I think I've gotten didn't even probably you probably had so many more. I like your questions there. And what did you do? Just go on the company's websites and or you just Googled all that because that is freaking good. I like those things.
I googled bizarre questions.
Yeah, bizarre questions and the ones here. And you know, I don't think, like I said, I think you got to prepare, look sharp, first impressions are really come down to it. Your personality. I think a personality has a lot to do with it too.
Yes.
In an interview, I think you can let your guard down a little bit. It's okay to let it down a little bit and not be, it's okay to laugh. It's okay to smile. It's okay to, to have a little fun. But at the same time, I always say it comes down to that recruiter and who you're stuck with. You know,
Yeah, it's important as a recruiter to make them feel at ease and
yep,
that, this is just a conversation because a
that's
lot of
it.
people get angst. They have anxiety. Anxiety's
I
through
wouldn't
the
even know
roof,
how to write this down. I wouldn't even know
you
how to write
know?
the answers down. When
So it'd
somebody's
be
saying
hard.
about attacking a big duck, or I'd be like, all right, hold on. What'd you say? Let me say it like that, because that's a lot to, like you said, what they're looking for. So, all right, well, I guess
Well,
we'll
Dave,
be.
thank you for having me.
Oh God,
I just want to like, if I can plug in my company real
yes, you
quick.
can.
As
Yes, you can.
as you know, I'm the founder of SunnyWorks Innovations, and
Yep,
we do HR fractional services, and that is inclusive of building a great positive work culture with trauma informed care and emotional intelligence, and really, we deal with healthcare, we deal with
nice.
education, biopharma. So yeah, and I just again thank you for letting me be on your show. I really do
Oh,
appreciate it.
love it. And well, I'll figure the thing out with LinkedIn, but I'm going to share this over here. But I'll put this on Spotify right after this because I want to try to promote that as anything to go on there. And we'll put that on there tonight. And no, and you're located for the business that's in Bethlehem, right? Or what
Yes,
area are
yes.
you serving? Lehigh Valley, Bucks area, all of it, right?
So yeah, we work out of the Lehigh Valley area, but we're not exclusive.
Right.
And so
Okay.
they can reach me at
Okay.
www.sunnyworksinnovations.com, and there's a contact us page, so they can fill that out.
All
I'm
right.
also on LinkedIn at your HR Amiga Unfiltered. So yeah.
Love it. All right. I'll be right back after this video. We're going to talk a second as soon as I find it again where the new one is. There it is. Talk to you right after this show.